The time is 11:06. The date is Tuesday, May 30th. I did not call this meeting, but I received notice of it about 30 minutes ago, so I'm going to call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before I ask Charlene to read the resolutions, I'm just going to first put on the record here that open meetings law in New York State is very clear. There's clear criteria for what constitutes an open meeting, and there's very clear criteria about noticing requirements. As far as that notice requirement, it needs to be publicly posted in a conspicuous place. The press must know about this. The public must know about this. And those are the requirements for having a public meeting and for noticing a public hearing. If those requirements are not met, the village can be litigated against. And at that point in time, what is being adopted would have to be rescinded. What I'm also going to say is that what's clear in the notice for open meetings, it says, quote, in the NICOM handbook, the timing for the notice requirement in Public Officers Law 104, Section 104 is written in a certain way. In essence, the open meetings law provides that if notice of a public body's meeting is given at least 72 hours prior to the meeting, then the meeting may be held for any reason. However, the notice of a meeting can only be given less than 72 hours in advance of that meeting. Then it may only be held if there is an emergency need for conducting the meeting on less than 72 hours notice. What constitutes an emergency in purposes of the OML is not defined in law. So, Charlene, you may get going here with the resolutions, but I firmly object to this meeting taking place based upon what I believe is a clear violation of open meetings law, and this is not the way a village government should be conducting itself. And I'm extremely disappointed that this is happening in this fashion. But the meeting was called. I did not call it. Feel free to read the resolutions.
I just want,
Charlene,
Andrew, the
can I just
notice.
request that either you or the village clerk, Ms. Sweeney, come in and indicate that the proper procedures
I can
were
have the
followed?
clerk come in and discuss the notice that was posted last week.
Or maybe the village
And
attorney
wha-
could
so-
enlighten everybody.
Yeah, while that's happening, I received a request last week from Senator Palumbo's office which requested the village submit municipal home rule requests. And I spoke with Senator Palumbo's office, and they indicated that this request needs to be in by the end of the week.
Andrew,
And in order to do that, I recommended the board conduct a special meeting. That was on Wednesday. I did not handle the notice for this meeting, but I would submit that the request for health insurance coverage for SVOR and the time frame on that would constitute an emergency. But I also believe that the notice was published more than 72 hours in advance.
it was not distributed to the press 72 hours in advance. I know that for a fact. And
I defer to the clerk on that. I didn't do
I
it.
did not submit it to the press until this morning, but I did have it on Friday. I posted it on Friday, and on Sunday I posted it on the website.
Okay.
Without anyone else, I didn't get any feedback from anyone else, and then on Sunday I posted the agenda to the website, and I sent it out to the board. And especially under the circumstances, otherwise it would delay it another year.
I understand.
I'd like
So
to make clear that the reason the mayor is objecting is because we're having a session to enact a benefit for our emergency Southampton Village ocean rescue people. And he doesn't want to have the meeting because, for whatever reason, I believe the clerk has indicated that the meeting was properly noticed. There was a time pressure, as our village attorney has indicated, that unless we did this week, the benefit would not be provided. So to me, it's just stunning that the mayor would not want to have a meeting to grant our workers this benefit.
Roy, I must say that's entirely false. And it's entirely false because, first and foremost, you must abide by the New York State open meetings law. and you must abide by the proper notice.
Mr. Preston just indicated it was an emergency, Mr. Mayor. That is abiding by the law.
Okay. I will finish and I'll defer
Yeah,
comment to anybody
that's fine.
else.
I have no problem.
Mr. Preston may be correct about an emergency situation based upon ocean rescue. But what is not an emergency is publishing a public hearing for a local law. And what is most certainly not an emergency is doing a notice so that Village Hall could be open on Saturday, June 10th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. so that people who do not reside in the village or who do not live here Monday through Friday could pick up and request absentee ballots. That is the furthest thing from an emergency, and it is extraordinarily disappointing to me that this board would use this under the guise or context of an emergency to go create a situation that would provide a clear-cut advantage to them in this upcoming village election.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. For you to bring in politics at this point, Mr. Mayor, is unbelievable. You have sat at this dais and have said time and time again how every resident of the village must have their voice heard, how they must have their vote counted. And for you to say they're not residents because they're voting with an absentee ballot is absolutely false. This village hall was opened a year ago, or 2 years ago, and we're doing exactly the same thing that was done in previous years. There's nothing different about it. So for you to say that it is somehow a political advantage instead of enfranchising our voters to cast their vote is simply, again, unbelievable.
And I completely disagree with you, Trustee Stevenson. In fact, people on the other side of that election complained that it gave Bill and Gina an unfair advantage in that trustee election. And Bill and Gina and you at this point are doing the exact same thing that many people complained about. And I want to put my clear-cut objections to this on the record. Now, I'm happy to get this meeting over and done
I'm sorry if you
with.
think that giving people the right to vote is bad, Mr. Mayor. Giving people the right to vote is what this whole country is about, and you're against it. You're against ocean rescue. You're against giving people the right to vote. It's unbelievable, all because you feel threatened. It's staggering.
And you don't want to have a public hearing to allow Sandra McConnell to have chicken on her property?
Again,
Is that correct? Is that correct, Mr. Mayor? This is ridiculous. We're trying to have a democracy here. We're trying to allow people to conduct the village business. This is absurd. Let's just have this meeting and get it over with, and let's lay aside politics for one meeting, please. The village residents deserve better than this. This chaos must end. This chaos must end. We need competency in Village Hall. Please.
competency in Village Hall means that we abide by the New York State open meetings law.
Well, that's
and
when
we notice things out
that's when
properly.
they agree with you and your way. If it doesn't agree with what you want to do, then it's a problem. Robin, I think is on. Okay, thank you.
Now, would love to help.
Andrew, what do you want to do?
I
You
don't
want to
have-
not?
I
not
wanna
vote on
ask- I
this?
wanna
Because
ask
then
I
the
want-
Ocean Rescue will have to wait
I would
another
like
year.
to ask the village attorney for his legal guidance on this matter, please.
If the board is interested in voting on the municipal home rule request
Yes.
for that law,
Yes,
then this meeting has to happen now.
yes.
Right,
And
otherwise.
it has to happen for that. I agree with the mayor that resolution number 2 for a notice of public hearing need not be done on an emergency basis. I believe that the reason why that is here is because the request came in after the meeting was already organized, and this sets up the public hearing for June 8th. The board could table that notice of public hearing to the next meeting. Similarly, resolution number 3, approving the request of the village clerk to open Village Hall on June 10th, I believe is time sensitive, and if the board wants to vote on that, it should at this time, because to wait until the next meeting would increase the amount of time from public notice to the opening of Village Hall. But I leave that to the board's discretion.
I feel sorry for the woman that wants to have the chickens on her property because she's been waiting a long time. And all this is doing is noticing a public hearing.
Right,
Well, the request did come in several months ago.
Right.
And
for-
that's why
for
I
a
feel like it's
permit.
been a long time. And all it's doing is saying that at the next meeting, we will have a public hearing.
I agree. There will be a public hearing on the application.
And so the public will have the chance at June 8th to come in and voice their opinion in favor or not in favor of this.
I agree.
So this is not actually taking any action other than just saying we will have a public hearing. If we don't do this now, she will have to wait until the end of June or July.
Well, it was my recommendation that it go on the agenda for those reasons. So I agree with you.
Let's ask the board what they would like to do. I mean, I feel like, again, if a citizen would like to move forward with something, it's better than just delaying indefinitely.
So
It's not like this is new. This has been, we've spoken about this already.
Months ago.
I'm ready
Months
to,
ago.
this was on an agenda several months
Yes, it
ago.
was.
And the village's provisions for keeping chicken coops are very restrictive and
Mhm.
require a public
And
hearing.
arduous,
Mhm.
yes. Robin, do you have anything you'd like to say, please? Is Robin there, Sage? Robin? Anyway, all right. Charlene, do you want to go ahead with the resolutions?
Suggested, suggested resolution, resolution number 1, resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Incorporated Village of Southampton approves the request received from Senator Anthony H. Palumbo seeking home rule requests for S. 5742 and A. 5927, proposed laws which relate to the health insurance coverage for members of the Southampton Ocean Rescue, and authorizes the mayor to execute said requests. Sorry, Trustee Brown is calling me, so maybe she's having difficult
Yeah, I
connectivity
texted
problems.
she was muted.
Is there a motion?
Motion?
Second?
I'll make this, you make the second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Should we wait for the vote for trustee?
Yes, we should.
Though this is a public meeting, so this conversation is also part of the public record
What conversation?
that's going
She's
on
having
right here.
technical difficulties, so she's on conference call right now. Trustee, can you hear us?
I can. Thank you so much for your patience. I had some technical difficulties. I can hear you now. Thank you.
Okay, so I just read resolution number 1. I believe you received the agenda. So it was, the motion was made by Deputy Mayor Aresta. It was seconded by Trustee Stevenson. Just gonna call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. Resolution number 2, resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Incorporated Village of Southampton authorizes the village clerk to publish a notice of public hearing to be held on Thursday, June 8th, 2023, at 6 p.m. as a hybrid in-person Zoom meeting regarding the application of Sandra McConnell seeking a special permit to install and maintain a chicken coop at her property located on 595 Captain's Neck Lane, Southampton, New York, pursuant to Southampton Village Code Section 116-9A, subsection 12C3. Is there a motion?
Motion?
Second.
Mr. Manger, you're not going to second this?
I think you would second.
I just want to make sure we're on firm legal ground to move forward with this.
Yes, you're noticing a public hearing only. The board is not taking any
I will
action other
second
than, other than directing the clerk to publish.
On
a notice.
council's advice, then I will second this.
But if someone were to litigate against the village, they could potentially annul this action because it was not done with proper notice. And they would win, and then the village would actually have to pay that individual their lawyer's fees, the same way the village had to pay Charles Lane its lawyer's fees as well when he beat the village when we violated, FOIA law.
I disagree.
And quite honestly, Jesse, if someone wants to have a problem with this, they will come in and voice their opinion at the public
If the-
hearing on June 8th.
If the public hearing were held on short notice, I could understand a resident complaining that they didn't know about the public hearing and it wasn't published in the newspaper and all that. This is just directing the clerk to publish the notice of hearing.
And any resident will know about this and be able to come in on June 8th and voice their opposition to this if they wish to do so at that time. So I actually feel comfortable that there's not going to be a problem. And if there is a problem, we will hear about it on June 8th. So I will second this.
I don't think there's going to be a problem. I do disagree with the way this is being noticed. I actually was the one who went out and tried to help this individual with this chicken coop. She'd reached out to us. I wanted to help this resident. I put the resolution on the agenda. We decided to do it a different way. But I do not think it is appropriate with no notice to the public, no notice to the press, and arguably a debate about whether this was noticed properly at all, to be taking any action outside an emergency action in this meeting. And that's my comments for the record. I'm going to vote for it just to get this done. But again, I do not think this board is conducting itself according to New York State law and open meeting law.
It sounds like you're trying to have it both ways, Jesse. But anyway, all right, I'm glad he's going to vote for it, even though he's opposed to it. It's sort of like he's for it, but he's against it. I think I remember some politicians doing that in the past.
So, on the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Resolution number 3, resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the request of the village clerk to open Village Hall on Saturday, June 10th, 2023, from 9 to 4 p.m. to provide election services for village residents. Is there a motion?
Motion?
Second?
Second.
Discussion.
Discussion? Mayor?
Again, this is an action that absolutely should not be taken in a special meeting. Special meetings are for emergency purposes only. Even in emergency purposes, the press and the public still needs to get notice, to which I do not believe it did. That being said, what this board is trying to do is they are trying to open up Village Hall on a Saturday, again, so that people who do not live here and people who can't even come to the polls, can't even come to Village Hall to get their absentee ballot on a Friday will be able to do this, and they're doing this for their own political advantage.
It's
And
not
again,
the first time this has been done, Jesse.
That's right. It was done for your election and Bill's election to also
And it was
give you
done
guys
before
an
that,
advantage.
but
It was not done
that's all
then.
right.
So what I will say here is this is the absolute wrong purpose to be doing this in a special emergency meeting. We are completely abusing and taking advantage of what an emergency meeting is called for. We are violating New York State open meetings law. It is crystal clear in this situation that we are doing it. And I want to let the public know that if you think this is bad right now, this is what is going to happen if this 5-person board has a supermajority. Nothing will be noticed to the public properly. Everything will be done to benefit one side, and you will not know about it.
I take
This-
offense at that,
Yeah, that's
Jesse.
very offensive,
That's
Jesse.
very
And you're
offensive,
getting very
Jesse.
political up here, and that is absolutely
We just-
unfair, and you should stop immediately. That
Once
is
again,
absolutely
you're
uncalled
using
for
this
and
day as for your
unnecessary.
campaign.
This is
And
ridiculous.
spewing your
This is
untruths.
ridiculous.
I'm on
Can
firm
we take a vote
legal
here?
footing here.
This is
on this
oh,
topic.
please.
has indicated
Really,
in the legal
Jesse?
counsel that this is an appropriate meeting. So
Just-
why don't you call another lawyer, Mr. Mayor, and
Which is
and
what you
raise
do.
our legal fees even higher than $600,000? Because every time you don't get your way, you call another lawyer to see if you can figure out another way to get what you want done. It's absolutely ridiculous that legal fees have gone from $240,000 to $600,000 under your mayorship. It's because you contest everything unless you get your way. You do not want to be mayor, you want to be king. Your way or the highway. It's ridiculous.
It's more like a dictator.
I believe actually Village Hall stayed open last year on Saturday without even a resolution
That's
being
right.
passed, Jesse, as you recall. So actually, we're trying to do something this year to actually have a formal resolution taken. You should appreciate that. You don't want it staying open. This is ridiculous. You want people to be disenfranchised. And just because they can only come here on a Saturday, if they are registered to vote in this village, they should be allowed to cast their vote. This is absurd. You're ridiculous.
People are disenfranchised when you have voters voting in multiple locations. That disenfranchised people who actually live and vote here. That's what disenfranchisement is.
No one is encouraging anyone to vote in multiple locations. We know that that is not correct. No one is doing that.
Everything's always been done for the convenience of the voter. That is why the village has their election on a Friday and not a Tuesday, as the other municipalities do, to get people that live in the city, that vote here, that are property owners, that have every right to vote where they want to vote, to be able to come here and vote on Friday. And they come earlier for the weekend. This has been as long as I can remember, that's the way that it's always been a Friday vote, and which is also different from other municipalities. Did we finish the vote?
No,
I
we
have
did
not
not
voted.
vote yet.
Oh, can we vote?
Okay.
Again, I will read directly from Public Officers Law, Section 104. If notice of a meeting can be given less than 72 hours in advance of that meeting, then it may be held only if there is an emergency need for conducting the meeting on less than 72 hours notice. Passing a resolution so that the village hall could be open on a Saturday is not the proper use of a public meeting, and in my opinion, and I believe I'll be backed up by this, by the Committee for Open Government, that this is not proper use of open meetings law.
When did you post it?
Posted it on Friday.
Friday would be Saturday is 24 hours, Sunday is 48 hours, Monday is 72 hours, today's Tuesday, so what's the problem, Jess?
No notice to the press was given in advance. In fact, I am 100% confident that the press did not know about this. I only received the notice on Sunday. No agenda, which doesn't actually have to be posted, was posted, so that's just wrong, even though it's not illegal. So you guys can feel free to vote on this, but I, again, put my strongest possible objections
And
here.
village clerk would like to
Excuse me.
speak.
I just
Chich.
want to be clear.
Kathy.
Yeah. It's very important that I'm clear on this. So, attention to the board. So, I'm Kathy Sweeney, the village clerk of the Village of Southampton. When it is practicable, it was very important. We were time sensitive. It's directly affecting the ocean rescue. Knowing that we were having a meeting, I didn't think that it was out of the ordinary to notice the other two items since they were also time sensitive. So with that said, though, Attorney Preston sent the information regarding Southampton Village Ocean Rescue on May 22nd, or excuse me,
23rd.
Wednesday? Was it 24th?
24.
The 24th, which was May 24th, sent that out. Now, that was a request to the board. Did any of us receive any rebuttals or any responses from the board to say yes or no regarding the meeting? I never received anything. I then planned to press. I spoke with Andrew on Friday. I was here all day Saturday, all day Sunday, governing the beach operations, all day Sunday, working in Village Hall. On Sunday, I sent it out to the board. I also posted it to the website. And on Friday, I posted it in front, in the lobby, describing that we were going to be having a special session. To my dismay, I did not send it to Brendan O'Reilly and Kaylin until this morning, after I realized that I hadn't sent it directly to them. I did post it in Village Hall, and I posted it to the website. So my due diligence, yes, I was remiss by not sending it directly to the two reporters, but with that said, I did my due diligence by advising everyone and by sending it. And I'd be happy to pull down the analytics on southamptonvillage.org to show that I did in fact post it on Sunday morning, if that's needed. I'm happy to do that.
And Kathy,
So-
excuse me, Kathy, when last time we had a meeting several years ago, and we had an opinion from Attorney Gray about notification to the press, did he say there was a time constraint on that?
He said if it's applicable, if it's practicable, you know, the reasonableness to this and knowing that it was time sensitive. And as we all know, when we post our agendas, there's always other items. It's like, oh, well, we're going to have a special session. Well, let's go ahead and make this happen, make that happen. In fact, today I have a walk-on resolution request for folks that worked this weekend that are all repeat beach attendants, and they did not get on the resolution from the last meeting, and I would love to have them as a walk-on resolution today. I don't think that that's inappropriate either, considering that they served the village for 3 days this past weekend, operating the Cooper's Beach. With that said, those folks were not on the roster. They were listed as just beach attendants, but the names were not delineated. It came to my attention this morning, and of course, this is an opportunity. It's the 11th hour, and of course, I don't want them to wait until June 8th, because now they won't get paid this pay period. So with that said, I would respectfully request, as we all know, an agenda is a living document. This is perfect example of an item. Yes, it's not an emergency, but is it reasonable, considering these people just worked for 3 days this past weekend? I think it's a reasonable request to have a walk-on resolution for these 5 beach attendants. And that would be my next request for a walk-on resolution for those folks.
Why were people working without them being appointed first?
They're repeat people, and they're on there since May 8th, and it was just a matter of a Scribner's error on the salary and scale spreadsheet that was submitted. But it was initially submitted on May 8th, which was then tabled at our May 11th meeting for approval on May 23rd. And these 5 people were not on the May 23rd document, which they were originally on the May 11th document. So that's where that is. But they are all repeat. Mind you, all of the folks that are at Cooper's are returning employees, so they're already in our system. But
Thank you,
that would
Kathy.
be-
So,
You're welcome.
so just to confirm, you said, so this was published to the village website on Sunday?
It was published to the village website on Sunday.
And given to the
It was posted in the
press.
kiosk out in the front on Friday, and then this morning I sent it to Brendan and Kaylin when I realized that I hadn't sent it directly to them. Because I personally send them the agenda when I post it to everyone, to all of you, and I post it to the website. And then on Sunday, I did not send it to them.
Mr. Mayor, if you'd had a problem with it, why didn't you respond to Ms. Sweeney's email earlier last week, say you didn't feel we should have the meeting? Why didn't you respond?
When was the
Since
agenda?
Wednesday.
When was the agenda for this meeting sent out?
Sunday.
Sunday.
But this has been recommended since Wednesday.
And when
we
did
were
the,
waiting to
I
find
think
out
it
if
was
we were
before
going
that.
to be able to have the meeting because of the circumstances and because of the short suspense time that we have with the Senate.
so just to be clear, so I, as the mayor of Southampton, I received the agenda on Sunday. The press received the agenda 30 minutes before the meeting. And when did the public receive the agenda?
On Sunday.
On Sunday.
On Sunday.
Okay.
They could have
So
come in the
I
village
already
hall and
said
seen it
that,
on
so-
Friday, though.
Pardon?
They could have come in Village Hall and seen it on
They
Friday.
They could have come in on Friday, because I had it posted on Friday, and then on Sunday is when I sent it out. Mhm.
Okay, thank you very much, Kathy.
So, and just to be clear as well, you know, on Friday, I was here, I'd say probably till about 6:30, 7 o'clock, not that that matters. But, you know, I was getting everything ready for the beach, and I was getting everything ready, so just to be clear, was I remiss in not sending it to the two reporters? Yes. But my due diligence, I feel it was warranted, and we took the initiative. We don't want to delay for another year. And knowing that we're already here and we're engaged and we're on step with having an agenda, it just made perfect sense to go ahead and have those other items. So that was why it just seemed natural to be able to do that, knowing that we can plan to press and notice the folks, especially with Mrs. McConnell. So that's how I feel about that. But at this time, though, I would, after this vote, I would respectfully request a walk-on resolution number 4 to have these other 5 folks for for Cooper's Beach, for the beach attendants, so they can get paid this week.
And just to be
Mr.
clear, I just, oh, excuse
Mr.
me.
Preston, we're trying to keep the Village Hall open on Saturday, June 10th. We do have a meeting June 8th, right? So
Mhm.
why couldn't we just do the resolution June 8th and keep the Village Hall open June 10th?
You may. I have no problem with
If
it. I
that's
think
the mayor's issue, we can have the resolution on June 8th.
my understanding is that the clerk anticipated having the village hall open and wants to ensure that it may be, and also to let the public know that it will be.
Mhm.
And so that was the reason
I
why
see.
it was added
Yeah.
for
I
the
see.
special, rather
Mhm.
than doing it on June 8th.
And-
Well,
and
if the
just-
mayor has a problem with having a vote, I certainly am willing to express my support for the resolution. I'm sure the board probably would, probably the mayor wrote because he doesn't want people to vote that he doesn't think will vote for him. But I'd be happy, we can certainly postpone that, and if we can somehow, I don't know. I mean, it just seems kind of crazy to have to do that, but
You could also do it twice.
mhm,
You could do it now and then again on the 8th.
mhm.
Just one other thing, to be clear, the first communication I have right in front of me from Ms. Sweeney to all of us, including Andrew, was Wednesday
Right.
concerning this issue.
The 24th.
Yeah,
But again, it doesn't matter when you received an email. It matters when the public knows about this.
well, you said you didn't know anything about it until a half hour ago, and I'm looking at the first communication. It's not like it happened this morning, Mr. Mayor. This has been going on since last week.
The village
So,
was.
I mean, if you had a problem with it, you could have said something 6 days ago. That's all I'm saying. I looked it up.
Again,
because
to
I
repeat-
remember we've been talking about this since last week.
Wednesday.
I do
Yes.
not have an issue with the village having a special meeting regarding a resolution related to ocean rescue. I do have an issue with the village having an open meeting for non-emergency resolutions. Again, my job as the mayor is to make sure that we do not violate open meetings law. It is to make sure that we have the highest level of transparency for the village residents,
Well,
its
that's when it
stakeholders,
conveniences you.
and the press. And to
Okay.
do this, and do this in this fashion, is, again, unorthodox, illegal, and wrong.
Well, not according to
Okay.
Village Attorney Preston, Mr. Mayor, so you've got a kind of a difference of opinion there.
What about the fact, Jesse, that Village Hall was open on a Saturday before Election Day last year without even a resolution being taken?
I believe that was also wrong, and it gave you and Gene an unfair advantage in that election.
Oh, really? Okay. It just allowed more people to be able to
When you were the
vote.
mayor, you allowed it.
You didn't seem to object last year, Jesse. I remember you being fully on board with it, actually. So it's amazing how it changes from one year to the other. Again, you seem to flip from one side to the other. It seems to be a common theme with you now. Let's just get through this and get out of here, please. This has been enough torture for one day.
So I will call for the vote. All in favor of resolution number 3?
And let's do it again on the 8th.
Any opposed?
Post.
One up, the mayor opposed. The motion carries 4-1.
Can we add it to the agenda for the 8th as well, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Can respectfully
You can
the roll call?
request. So, we do have a resolution, okay. And do we have salaries?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the salary is
Is here.
16.
So there's a, motion, trustee Brown, I just wanted to let you know that, Ms. Sweeney handed me, the salary schedule for the, 6 additional employees for Cooper's Beach. Do we have a motion to add a walk-on resolution?
Motion?
Motion?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
There
Motion
might be a-
carries.
Are you
I
opposed?
did not oppose it.
Okay.
Resolution number 4, resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the following employees to be employed at Cooper's Beach for the summer season 2023. Owen Wetter, Santino Arnold, Max Greenwald Jr., Ryan McDonald, Jaden Wilson Pepitone, and Boo Polaro, at a salary of $16 per hour. Is there a motion?
Did these people already start? I'm just curious.
Yes, so it would be effective as of May 26th.
And May 26th is fine.
May
And-
26th.
And they were not
The
recorded,
19th.
just let me
Their-
understand,
Their names were not
Well,
recorded.
then-
they were not recorded previously,
No.
but they already started work and they've actually
Oh, they
already.
were,
They're all returning
employed, they're
employees.
returning employees. They were here last year. We're just reactivating them for this summer season.
Okay, and
They're-
how, why were they overlooked?
They were on the original for the May 8th, and then when we tabled that resolution, so we were provided with the list for May 23rd, but instead of it delineating all of the beach attendants, it just said all beach attendants. It didn't delineate by name. So because it didn't delineate by name, Erin, our deputy treasurer, requires the names to be annotated. So that was why.
So it was really an error that we did not include their names.
Right,
It's a
just because we
Scrivener's error.
wrote all beach attendants instead of delineating the roster. So that was why.
When they were hired last year, was it as mayoral appointments subject to board approval or by board
We
resolution?
do it every year. All of our seasonal staff is
It's just
appointed,
done
just
as a
like we do with
resolution
every-
for all the seasonal.
Mhm.
Is there any opposition to this?
I think what Andrew's saying is the resolution, which I'm happy to pass, is just not done correctly. It's a mayoral appointment, not a board appointment, so that it just could be read differently. But I
If it-
think you're just
Yeah, no,
correcting
they're
the
not.
If it's
mistake
done,
that was made.
if it's done with unanimous approval, I don't have a problem with it. If the mayor were opposed, then I would recommend that it be added as a proposed mayoral appointment subject to board ratification. But if everybody's in favor, then
It's
there's no issue.
I mean, it sounds like what the problem was is you just said beach attendants and you didn't specify their names. So
Right.
it sounds like we're just trying to correct an error
The
that
prior
had been made
resolution.
previous. So
Correct.
can we put it as a resolution that we're correcting a previous resolution by now delineating the names? And then I feel like that's a better way to do it, is it's a correction.
I would suggest that it be done as a proposed mayoral appointment subject to board approval.
All right, well, that's up to the mayor,
Okay,
obviously.
so the resolution would read, resolve, the mayor appoints and the Board of Trustees approve the following employees to be employed at Cooper's Beach for beach attendants for the summer 2023 season, effective May 26, 2023, at a salary of $16 per hour. And that would be Owen Wetter, Santino Arnold, Max Greenwald, Ryan McDonald, Jaden Wilson Pepitone, and Boo Polaro.
Motion.
Motion. Second.
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 All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is unanimous. That concludes the resolutions.
Like to make a motion to adjourn the special meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.